Hi guys, this is Miss Mofiche, and today we are learning Exponent Basics. So here we go. So the first thing is that I can identify the parts of an exponential expression. This is our I can statement for today, our learning objective. We are preparing for standard 8 EE1. So this isn't necessarily the standard. This is just information that you're going to need for later on Tuesday and Thursday and Friday. So we are just identifying the parts of an exponential expression. So if you see that word exponential, that means exponent. And then I got a little gif of a dog with Halloween spooky season. He's adorable. So here we go, parts of an exponential expression. There are three main parts. Obviously, the first one is the exponent, and the exponent is the tiny little number that is connected to the base. So in this case, it is right here. So the 9 is the exponent. And then whatever the exponent is attached to, that is called its base. So in this case, the m is the base. So we always have at least a base with an exponent. And remember, the exponent is the teeny tiny number, in this case the 9, and then there's also the base, which the exponent is connected to. And then lastly, but not least, this 8, we're going to call that a coefficient. So you don't always have a coefficient that is shown. Sometimes there's an invisible one, but for the most part, you're always going to have a base and an exponent with an occasional coefficient. So the coefficient is just what's being multiplied onto the base. So we have three terms: exponent, base, coefficient. This is one of those ones where we have, obviously, our exponent is the 4. It's a teeny tiny number. And then whatever the exponent is attached to, that is called its base. So a base can either be a number or it can be a letter like it was in this past one. So in this first one, the base was a letter. But in the second example, the base is a 3. It's not the coefficient. Remember, the coefficient is what is attached to the base. So the coefficient is being multiplied by the base in this one, 8 times m, whereas in this one, the base is just 3. There is no coefficient. So they're going to be asked to expand things. So it's the first one. It says write 5 to the third in expanded form. So a lot of people think 5 to the third is just 5 times 3, which it is not. It is not 5 times 3. In expanded form, that's just saying that 5 is being multiplied by itself 3 times. So it would be 5 times 5 times 5. So that is expanded form. X to the 5th in expanded form, it would be x 5 times. So x times x times x times x times x. So there are 5 x's. And then make sure you're using the little dot as your multiplication symbol. So no longer are we using the x to represent multiplication. You can either use a dot or you can use parentheses. And then the last one, it says write m cubed and squared in expanded form. So it's the same thing. You're just going to do 3m. So m times m times m, and then 2 n's times n times n. So there are 3 m's and 2 n's. So that is expanded form. When they want you to expand something out, they want you to make it bigger. And you can also go opposite. Oh my gosh, that is not how you spell exponential. This I should be, or this U should be an I. Sorry about that. So exponential form is just going backwards. So you're going to write an expression using exponents. So in this case, our base is 2. So I write a 2, and then I just count how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So my exponent would be 7. So 2 to the 7th power. You can also do it with letters. In this case, we both have m's and n's. So I'm going to start with my m's. There are 1, 2. So m to the 2nd power. And then I'm going to do my n's. 1, 2, 3, 4. So n to the 4th. And that is exponential form. You just make it shorter, writing using exponents. There are 2 special terms that you guys have heard, but we're just going to repeat it. So whenever someone says to the 2nd power or raised to the exponent of 2, the special word in that case is just squared. So an example would be m squared instead of saying m to the power of 2, you would just say m squared. So this is just m squared. And then to the third power, or raised to the exponent of 3, that one is called cubed. So your example, if you have m to the third, you would just say m cubed. And those are some special terms. Squared and cubed, so squared is to the top power or the second power, and then cubed is just to the third power. But instead of saying to the third power, you can just say squared or cubed, depending on if it's 2 or 3. I do want to tell you about the invisible exponent. So whenever you have something that's by itself, there is an invisible exponent. You just don't write it every time. So 9 is actually 9 to the first power. And then x would be just x to the first power. So there is a teeny tiny exponent, but it's usually just invisible. But you do need to recognize that if it doesn't have an exponent, the exponent is actually 1 and not 0. The common misconception is that people will try to say, oh, 9 is just 9 to the 0, which is not true. And you'll learn why in like 5 days when we do the zero exponent law. So that is the invisible exponent. And then lastly, putting this into your calculator. So you've learned before to use the caret button. Use the caret button, and the caret button looks like an upside down V. Remember, it's on your calculator. So to do 3 to the 5th power, remember it's not 3 times 5. It's actually 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. But instead of typing that whole thing into your calculator, all you're going to do is do 3, hit the caret button, and then hit 5. So 3 caret 5. And if I have my calculator somewhere, that's just 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, and 3 to the 5th power. You should be doing it on your calculator right now. 3 caret 5 is, 3 caret 5 is, make sure you're out of SI mode, 243. So 243. And then calculate 10 to the 4th power. Remember, that's not 10 times 4. That's 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. But instead of typing that all into your calculator, you just hit 10 caret 4, 10 caret 4, and it's going to give you an answer. 10 caret 4 is 10,000. And that is Exponent Basics.